Here are three things that you can do if you feel unheard and unappreciated in your relationship. So, first and foremost, ask yourself the question, am I seeing and feeling what actually happens? And this is not for you to start doubting yourself and doubting your emotions, but it is very important to be aware of the fact that we tend to hyper focus on things. So, for instance, somebody who is anxiously attached will see a lot more threat. We'll see a lot more signs that something is wrong with the relationship, or that something might be off, or that their partner might want to leave them, or something that really feels threatening. And if we look at this through the polyvagal theory, so basically, if you are feeling connected, then and let's say if we look at the attachment styles, if you're securely attached, basically a lot of things. So, for instance, looking at your partner looks at you weirdly or doesn't listen to you, then it you might think, ah, maybe they just had a very stressful day. So it is, if you are connected with somebody, it is very easy to see, or it is easier to see the context as well, rather than immediately go into fight and flight or freeze states. So when looking at, am I seeing and feeling what actually happens, the important thing is to look at, how often does it happen? Does it just happen once a week? Does it just happen on weird occasions? Or is it always there? So if you feel unheard all the time, then you want to have a conversation about it. Uh, if you feel unappreciated all the time, then you want to have a conversation about it. But make sure that you bring as much objectivity into it as possible. And also, it is important to do it when you feel more relaxed, when not when you're feeling uh, triggered, even though as soon as you start thinking about it, depending on your skills to regulate your emotions, you might actually find yourself triggered, and you might actually get into fight and flight or freeze, or so whatever your usual default states are when you feel threatened. The second thing that you want to ask yourself, do I even know what I want? Because a lot of times, what really stops us from getting what we want is not the fact that it's not there or it wouldn't be available to us. It is that we don't even know what we want. So, for instance, if you are more used to feeling like as if they were a threat, or being in a survival state in your relationship, if that is what you associate with, that is what is most dominant as an experience in your romantic life, then it might even be very difficult for you to imagine or verbalize or describe to yourself what a connected, a safe romantic life would look like. So you want to understand, what would it be to be heard for me? What would it be to be appreciated? And you can do that instead of daydreaming about it, which is useless. You can do that by starting to pay attention to, when is it that I feel heard? When is it that I feel appreciated? And it can be either in the romantic context, or if it's difficult, then maybe with friends. What is happening? What is the quality of the relationship? What is the quality of the conversation? What is their body language? What is their voice like? What is it about that specific context, that specific situation, that specific relationship, that it makes me feel heard, so that I know exactly what it is that I want. Because without knowing where we're heading, we might get lost. And the third one is, do I have the capacity? Uh, can I voice what I want? That's another thing that actually can be a big problem. If I can't communicate what it is that I want, my partner might think that they are actually giving me what I want. Or they might get confused because they sometimes get this reaction, sometimes get that reaction. So, one of the most important skills that we can learn in a relationship is to be able to say what it is that we want. And of course, what can hold us back is that we associate a huge threat with saying what we want. We might think, oh, well, the relationship will end. They won't like us. They will leave us. They will abandon us. So it is very easy to go and into mental biases and, for instance, catastrophizing. We think of the worst thing that might happen, and that holds us back. But in fact, what you want is to learn this skill. It is a skill, it's not a personality. Or an identity thing. It is actually a skill that we can all learn, and we can also master it. We can become excellent at it. And one question, when you start thinking and you enter into these more survival uh, states, then you might ask yourself, do you even want to be in a relationship where you cannot voice what you want? Do you even want to be in a relationship where you cannot grow and expand and develop? So when the fear comes that you might lose them, then ask yourself, aren't you sacrificing yourself just to be there? So just to recap, if you're feeling unheard and unappreciated in your relationship, then ask yourself the question, am I seeing and feeling what is actually happening? And what is the baseline? What are the emotions that guide us? What are the states that guide us? Do I know what I want? Can I really voice what I want? Do I have a clear image of this is what it would be like to be heard and to be appreciated in my relationship? And thirdly, can I voice it? And if you feel that there is a no, then like a good scientist, start experimenting, start uh, looking at things, and looking at things as on and unbiased, as objectively as possible, because this is how you're going to change your default ways of being. And of course, if you are indeed unheard and unappreciated, then you don't have to carry on with a relationship that is not working, that is not for you. But you can actually leave, and you can leave knowing that you're making the right decision, and then you can go into dating or starting a new relationship with a very clear idea of this is what works for me and this is what doesn't. So basically, by doing these things, you're getting choices, and that's the most important thing.